Hello dear students. Now in the previous lectures we were discussing about the various aspects of electrical supply to induction motor in industries. In that we have seen the different parts or the different devices which are used along with the induction motor to start and control the same. The most important device which is used in industries to control the induction motor or to start the induction motor is a starter. So starter is basically a device which will give reduced current during start and protects the motor from getting damaged. There are various types of starters which are decided based on the application and also the rating of the induction motor for which it has to be used. We have seen that part also. Then we came to know about the different important parts of the starter, including contactor and overload relays. Apart from their functions, applications, characteristics, uses, we have also seen one of the most important part also, which is a short circuit protective devices which are used along with starter. Now as far as the overload protection is concerned, overload relays are taken care of, whereas the short circuit part protection circuit is being provided with the use of either fuses or circuit breaker. We have discussed all those things in the previous videos only. Now in this particular video we will be focusing upon the reactive power management in industries. The topic is reactive power management in industries, because basically what happens, the power factor is a big issue and need to be maintained with respect to proper value in all industries. Otherwise what will happen, if the power factor of the industry is not proper or very poor, then they have to pay the penalties. The losses are increased. How this happens and what is the concept of power factor, what are the various methods to improve the power factor or the reactive power improvement, we will be discussing in this particular video. The contents basically which we are going to focus upon are the introductory part, then power factor and power triangle, the concept, then causes of low power factor, then methods to improve the power factor and their advantages and disadvantages. These are the basic contents on which we are focusing particularly during this video. So let us begin with. Now why the power factor is of much important? Now, since most of the electrical loads in industries are inductive in nature, including induction motors, arc lamp, and so many others, even the transformer is an inductive load. So, they consume reactive power and hence the power factor is lagging or low. So, it is not at all desirable to have a low power factor because the system consumes more power, more current, and the supply has to be more to fulfill the requirement of a particular load if the power factor is very less. So in order to ensure most favorable condition for a supply system from engineering and economical standpoint, it is important to have a power factor as close to unity as possible, because cos of phi is called as a power factor. If cos of 0 is there is no phase difference between a voltage vector and a current vector, that means the phase angle is 0. So cos of phi, that is cos of 0, is 1. There is no issue of having a power factor, there won't be any losses, but this is not a practical case. We cannot have or we cannot achieve a power factor close to unity also. So it is always less than 1 or the unity power factor. But if we do not apply any of the improvement methods, it may be very low, below 0.7, 0.6, and if these values are there in the system, it will be very disadvantageous for all the operator as well as user. We will see those things in detail now. So basically, what is the technical definition of a power factor? The cosine of angle between voltage and current in an AC circuit is known as a power factor. In AC circuit, there is generally a phase difference phi between voltage and current. This is the characteristic of electrical system, that they always have the phase difference between the voltage vector and current vector. Now, depending upon which vector is leading to another vector, either the power factor is lagging or leading. The term cos of phi, the angle between this, and cos of this angle between voltage and current vector is known as the power factor of the circuit. If the circuit is inductive, the current lags behind the voltage and power factor is referred to as lagging. But if the circuit is capacitive, the current leads the voltage and the power factor is said to be having leading nature. Now this is called as a power triangle. Vector OA is representing active power given by VI cos of phi. Vector AB is representing reactive power represented by VI sin of phi or Q. This is P, this is Q. And this vector OB is a vector addition of OA and AB known as the S. That is a apparent power given by V into I. And the angle between this active power and apparent power is the cos of phi or simply phi, and then power factor can be considered by considering the cos of this angle. The same is mentioned here. VI cos of phi is having a unit kW. VI sin of phi is having a unit kVAR. R represents reactive power, and this represents V into I, that means volts into current, so simply VA or kVA. So this is altogether represents a power triangle. The important aspect of reactive power management is this power triangle. Unless and until we understand the basic concept of power triangle, we cannot study the further things in respect to the power factor improvement. The same things are represented here. Vector addition OB is equals to OA and AB plus, AB only. That is, apparent power is a vector addition of active power and reactive power. Then power factor is also mentioned by ratio of active power to apparent power. Now here itself, the formula for conversion of kVA to kVAR and kVA to kW, kW to kVAR are given here. So power factor, lastly cos of phi, which is a cosine of angle between voltage and current. Same thing again represented by other manner. R by Z, that is resistance upon impedance of the circuit, also gives you the value of power factor, and this we have already seen. The reactive power is important to understand because it is not at all actually being consumed by the circuit. The reactive power is neither consumed in the circuit nor it does any useful work. It merely flows back and forth in the both direction in the circuit. So that is important here. Why to have a knowledge about this reactive power? It does not do any activity in the circuit, does not consume by the load, does not supplied by the source, but to fulfill the requirement, source has to supply additional amount of power. Now what are the various causes of having a low power factor in the circuit or in the system? The very first thing, transformers which are installed in the circuit, they draw magnetizing current. For setting up flux in the circuit, transformer draws the magnetizing current, which is a major cause of having a lagging power factor. Now various equipments which are inductive in nature, like the electric discharge lamp, arc lamp, welding equipments, they are all consuming reactive power and operate at a lagging power factor. Then industrial heating furnaces again contribute to the lagging power factor. Then variations of load on the power system also causes the low power factor to have in the system. So these are the main important causes of having a low power factor or a lagging power factor in the system. Now this table will give you about the basic idea of various equipments and their associated power factor values. Let us have a look over these values. These are all the basic loads which are there in the industries, and see their power factors very, very low. And the unit is itself discussing upon the use of induction motor. Now look at the power factor value from 0.5 to 0.85. So very less compared to other devices, which is not at all desired here. Now, what are the effects of having a low power factor on the system? What will happen if the system power factor is less? To understand this, just concentrate on this particular load current equation. The power in the circuit is given by root 3 VL IL cos of phi, and from the same equation we are deriving for load current equals to P upon root 3 VL IL cos of phi, VL cos of phi. Now voltage of the system remains constant, power depends on the load itself, so ultimately the variation factor is cos of phi. Now let us consider this cos of phi is very less, keeping all values P and VL constant with low value of power factor. The system will draw huge load current, and this is the major effect of having a low power factor on the system. It draws more amount of current from the source. The very first effect is effect on transmission lines. If the system is drawing more amount of current from the source, definitely the transmission line has to carry that much amount of current. So to carry that much amount of current, the transmission line conductors should be capable enough. That means the cross-sectional diameter should get increased. Now if cross-sectional diameter is increased, that means what? The supporting structure required for sustaining the load of the transmission line, they are also increasing. So ultimately with low power factor, the overall cost of the transmission is increased. Then effect of transformer. Reduction in power factor causes reduction in the kW capacity of the transformer, because it has to deliver more but receives less. So there is a mismatch between the power ratio. So hence the efficiency of the transformer gets reduced. The third is effect on switchgear and bus bars. Now since current is increasing, the rating of these switchgears and bus bars which are required to carry again ultimately getting increased, and also the cost of these equipments increases. Effect on generator, because they have to supply more amount of energy, more amount of power to the supply or the load, they have to produce more. So ultimately it is beyond their capacity. We have to install more capacity generators, contributing more cost in the investment. Then effect on prime mover. Ultimately if generator has to increase more amount of energy, the prime mover who is running the generator has to supply more amount of power. That means the steam requirement or any other kinetic energy requirement is more. So to have more kinetic energy, more amount of fuel is required. So ultimately it's a increase in the resources requirement if we have a low power factor. Effect on existing power system, because those equipments which are installed initially are not capable enough to sustain this much of current and to handle this much of power. So ultimately they have to be replaced. Then again the burden on the cost of those equipments. Now what are the advantages of having a improved power factor or a good power factor? We have seen the drawbacks also. Now what will happen if we improve the power factor? What are those advantages? Let us discuss. The kW capacity of prime mover is better utilized due to decreased reactive power. Now if power factor is improved, the load current is less. Load current is less, that means amount of power delivered by the system will be less. So the prime mover has to supply more amount of less amount of energy to cope up with the situation. Then definitely low losses means improved kW capacity of alternators, transformers and the transmission lines. Efficiency of the power system is also improved. Cost per unit decreases because the number of resources used are less now. Voltage regulation of the system is improved since losses are less. reduction in power losses in the system due to reduction in load current, I square R losses, cost of generator, transformer, transmission line per kW of load will get decreased, reduction in kVA demand charges of large consumers. If the required amount of kVA is less by the large consumer, then their demand charges also gets reduced. So these are the listed advantages of having a improved power factor. Now, how to improve the power factor? We have seen the drawback, we have seen the power triangle, we have seen the advantages, but ultimately how to improve the power factor? What are those methods? So there are basically three methods which are used in the system, like the electrical system, to improve the overall power factor. The very first is static capacitors, which is widely used by industrial loads or industrial consumers. Second is a synchronous condenser. These are basically used in the power system and the substation only, but not in the substation so much, only in the power stations only, like the generating stations. Now there are phase advancers. These are installed in the substation and in the transmission network only. Apart from these three methods, the main focus of this particular unit is only on static capacitors. So we will focus only on the power factor improvement using static capacitors. As the name suggests, static capacitors are the condensers which are installed in the system in parallel with the system to improve the power factor. Now, how they contribute in improving the power factor after installing them in parallel with the system? Let us have a look. This first phasor diagram is basically representing the system without any power factor correction device. And in second case, we are having a capacitor which is connected in parallel with the load for the improvement in the power factor. Now see, the resistance of the network, the reactance of the network, and the load itself is carrying same amount of current, that is IR. The voltage drops are given here. Now the total voltage supplied is definitely the addition of VD plus VR. Okay, so they are same represented here. Now consider the second case where we are installing a power factor correction device, a static capacitor, in parallel with the load. Now what happens here? That current IR is still going to the load, but now this current which is being supplied by the source is divided into IR, and some of the current is taken by the current capacitor IC. Now see here how this help in improving the power factor with respect to the phasor diagram. See here, this is the phasor diagram for figure A we have seen previously. The voltage and the current VR, IR is lagging behind the voltage vector VR by phi R. So this ultimately is the power factor angle, and the power factor is lagging. Now when we add a capacitor in parallel with the system, it draws a charging current or capacitor current IC which is leading to this vector VR. Now initially we were having only phi R between VR and IR. Now with this current IC, the vector addition and the resultant current now is IR dash. Now see, this is the main resultant phase difference between VR dash and IR dash, this one only. Initially the angle was this one, now the angle is this much. That means what? The phase angle is reduced, so cos of phi is reduced. That means overall improvement in the power factor. Just by addition of this capacitor, the net power factor is improved. The same is explained here. Now, how to install these capacitors in the circuit? There are either two ways: by connecting a single contactor or by having two different contactors, one for switching of the main supply, one for switching on and off of the capacitors. So they are mentioned here. This arrangement shows with two contactors. This arrangement shows with one contactor. That means once the main contactor gets on, ultimately all the capacitors are connected in circuit for the power factor improvement. In this diagram, we can see there are two different contactors, one for the main source and one for the corresponding capacitors. Unless and until the contactors of the capacitors are closed, we cannot have the power factor improvement. And these contactors are specially designed for capacitor or the power factor improvement devices and have the capacitor duty. Now, how to calculate how much amount of actual capacitor kVAR is required to improve the power factor? The simple formula is leading kVAR supplied by the power factor correction equipment equals to P tan of phi 1 minus tan of phi 2. P is the overall rating of the power, that is the actual power or the load power. Tan of phi 1 is the amount of power factor before the power factor correction, and this is the after power factor correction. Let us discuss this with respect to the phasor diagram. Now here we have the corresponding P, Q and S, that is active power, reactive power and apparent power. Now see here, when we have V and I without power factor correction, we had a phase angle phi 1 with respect to V and I. Now after power factor correction device, the same angle now reduced to phi 2. So it is V I dash, the power factor angle is phi 2, hence the power factor is improved. So taking tan of phi 1 and tan of phi 2 and taking their difference, multiplying it with respect to the overall rating, that is the power, we can get the required amount of kVAR to be supplied by the corresponding capacitors. Now rest of the formulas are very known to you, that is Xc equals to 1 upon 2 pi Fc, so C can be calculated by Xc upon 2 pi F. Xc is Vph by IcPH, nothing but equals to 2 pi Fc, and the charging current IC equals to Qc upon root 3 V line to line voltage. Qc is the corresponding capacitive reactance. So this is how the amount of capacitor required can be calculated. Now where to install these capacitors? So there are different points where we can install these capacitors for power factor improvement. The very useful and very convenient or very much widely used way of installing or point of installation of capacitor is at the load end only. So they are connected at the load end like this, we have seen they are connected at the load end only, and the corresponding power factor improvement can be done. Now it can be installed near to the load center, near to the actual load, that is motor side of overload relay, then line side of the starter. Okay, they can be installed anywhere as per the requirement, but most convenient place of installation of capacitor is at the load end only, because that much amount of only current they have to handle. If we are installing capacitors at the supply end, then the capacity will be more, because the network, the distribution line, the load itself contributes to the value of the capacitor. Then we have to concentrate that also. So at the service feeder in the main bus bar system only they can be installed, but in this case they have to handle more amount of power, more amount of current, so cost of these capacitors is more. They can be installed in the motor circuit like capacitor A, B and C. So before the starter, after the starter they can be installed. So they have their own advantages, own drawbacks also. If they are installed before the starter, that means what? Ultimately they have to carry this current and this current. If they are installed after the starter, then starter current is fluctuating during on and off and various other operations, so capacitor has to sustain that much variation. If they are installed in the load circuit directly nearer to the load only, then ultimately the improvement is going to the load and it is a better option basically compared to the other options. Now as far as the summary part of this particular presentation or video is there, you can have a glimpse of the important formulas which are being required for the power factor correction. So the very first thing is power factor, which is active power by apparent power, then tan of phi for calculation of the required amount of kVAR to be supplied. For single phase and three phase, the power is to be calculated. So this is VI cos of phi in terms of kW, so divided by 1000. For three phase, root 3 VI cos of phi divided by 1000. Single phase kVA, V into A divided by 1000. Three phase kVA, root 3 VA divided by 1000. Then for line current, kVA upon the respective value of voltage. For three phase, kVA upon root 3 times the voltage. Capacitor current, we have already seen 2 pi f C into V into 10 to the power minus 6, because capacitors are in terms of microfarad. Then single phase capacitor current by this formula, three phase capacitor current, kVA, then motor input, that is simple kW. kW equals to HP into 0.746 divided by the efficiency of the motor, and approximate motor kVA can be calculated by using motor HP at full load conditions. So these important formulas are required to be understood by each and every student before going for the power factor consideration or power factor improvement formula. Now have a look over the table. This table will help you out in deciding the respective value of the capacitors which are required for the power factor correction, depending on the system voltage, depending on the type of starter used, depending on the capacity of the motor. Let us have a discussion. Now, if the induction motors are having a rating up to 20 HP and being supplied by simple DOL starter, then the line current is 1.5 times the HP. For DOL fuse, 4 times HP. Fuse for star delta starter should be 2.5 times the HP capacity, and for fuse of having star delta starter with respect to DOL, it should be 0.6, and the capacitor required is 0.4 times HP. From 25 HP to 100 HP, 0.3 times HP the rating of the capacitor should be, and above 100 HP the capacitor requirement is 0.25 times the HP capacity. So this is all about the power factor correction in industries, about the reactive power management. In this video, we have seen the basic concept of the power factor, power triangle, the various effect of low power factor, the various causes of low power factor on the system, what are the advantages of improving the power factor, what are the methods of improving the power factor, and how we can install those power factor correction devices in the system for better efficiency, for betterment of the power factor, and how to calculate the requirement of the power factor correction device in terms of their ratings. That also we have discussed in this video. And lastly, in a summary, how to select a particular capacitor value with respect to the rating of induction motor also we have discussed. So again, summarizing advantages, disadvantages of shunt capacitor, though it was not a part of the particular discussion. Let us have a look. So thank you very much for your patient listening. Kindly go through the contents of this video thoroughly and understand more about the reactive power management in industries. So this is all for today. In this video, we will come up with new videos with new topics. So by the time, have a good day, have a good time ahead. Thank you one and all.